Sweden manager Jon Dahl Tomasson has offered his verdict on striker Alexander Isak as the Newcastle star pushes for a move to Liverpool. Isak wants to leave Newcastle before the close of the summer transfer window and secure a move to Liverpool. The Reds have already seen an initial offer for the striker rejected, while the Sweden international is refusing to play for the club in a bid to try and force a move to ANF. Newcastle want to bring in a replacement before sanctioning an exit for Isak and have been linked with Brentford's Yoane Wissa and Paris Saint-Germain star Gonçalo Ramos. Isak has faced heavy criticism for his behavior towards Newcastle and desire to move on. But Tomasson has praised the striker's professionalism and said fans must be careful as the full facts are not yet known. He told Fotballskunnen, "First of all, Alex is an extremely professional player, a fantastic character and personality. I have talked a lot with Alex during this period. Situations like this are quite complex. These are extremely complex environments that the players operate in. I'm sure it will work out in the end, but you have to know the whole picture before you draw conclusions. That's always a good tip. I don't think we know it, the whole picture. I don't know the whole picture either. It's quite normal because there's a lot of politics in a football club. But one thing is for sure, Alex is a great guy and very professional. We should all be very careful about drawing conclusions because we don't know the bigger picture." Tomasson also spoke about Isak's chances of playing World Cup qualifiers for the national team in September after missing the start of the domestic season. He added, "There is time. He is a professional, and I know he has trained. Of course, he has not trained with a team and has not played matches. Let's wait and see. We will have a good talk, Alex and I, and hopefully he will be back in team training soon. Of course we have thought about it. I want to have my best players available, and he is a fantastic player, but I can't see into the future. It's impossible. The transfer window is due to close on September 1st, meaning the end is in sight for Isak's transfer saga. Howe has called for his striker's future to be resolved quickly, but it remains to be seen if Liverpool will return with an improved bid that Newcastle are willing to accept. Liverpool have made Alexander Isak their clear transfer priority this summer, with talks confirming they will not pursue both the Newcastle striker and Paris Saint-Germain's Bradley Barcola. While the Reds admire the Frenchman, all focus remains on the Swede, who has told Newcastle he no longer wants to play for them. Liverpool's £110 million, $149 million bid was rejected last week, but the saga is far from over. As per Fabrizio Romano, Liverpool have decided that Isak is their top transfer target and are not actively pursuing Barcola despite internal discussions. The Reds admire the PSG winger but view the Swedish striker as the key player to lead their attack. Negotiations are going to remain focused solely on the Newcastle man until the end. Liverpool have already spent heavily this summer and will not chase multiple blockbuster signings at this stage. Their priority is securing Isak, who has made himself unavailable to Newcastle amid growing uncertainty as he pushes the Magpies to sell him. The Tyneside club, however, insist their star striker is not for sale. Sources suggest Isak has told Newcastle he does not wish to play for them again. Meanwhile, Liverpool's £110 million offer was rejected, but they remain confident the striker's desire to leave could force progress. Meanwhile, no formal talks have taken place for Barcola, with the winger only viewed as a secondary option if their move for Isak hits a complete and final roadblock. The Premier League champions must now wait for Newcastle's decision, with the saga hinging on whether the Magpies eventually soften their stance. Isak remains determined to push for a move to Anfield, and Arne Slot's side are prepared to hold firm until late in the window if required. Ben Doak's £25 million, $33.8 million move to Bournemouth is set to be the second in a row of transfer dominoes that could be set to benefit Liverpool later in the window. The impending sale of Ben Doak to Bournemouth could set off a chain reaction of transfers that may ultimately benefit Liverpool. The £25 million, $33.8 million exit of the Scottish winger is being orchestrated by the Cherries as a replacement for Dango Ouattara, whose move to Brentford was confirmed over the weekend. This should pave the way for Newcastle to finally secure Yoane Wissa, who has made it clear he wants to leave the GTEC Community Stadium If Wissa secures his desired move to Newcastle, it would mark the first phase of its plan to revamp its attack following Callum Wilson's departure and the controversy surrounding Alexander Isak. The latter was subjected to chants of one greedy bee from the Newcastle fans during Saturday's goalless draw at Aston Villa. While it's doubtful that Isak heard those chants given his absence on the day, Newcastle manager Eddie Howe once again faced a barrage of questions about his unsettled star striker before and after the match. "Of course, I've said many times I want him to train and play," Howe said. "I've had those conversations with him, but the details of these conversations need to remain private. Training alone is not something you ever want to see. You want to see him with the squad. You want to see him happy and enjoying his football. He is contracted to us. He is here. So for me, that is an unfortunate situation. Yes, I believe there is a way back for Isak, but of course, discussions and talks would need to take place for that to happen. But that's for another day. Today is Aston Villa and making sure we perform as well as we can. The coverage from journalists in the North East has remained steadfast regarding Newcastle's interest in Wissa. His potential signing shouldn't be interpreted as the club facilitating Isak's departure, though it would at least allow the hierarchy to concentrate on bringing in another striker to bolster their current options. Despite operating without a sporting director thus far, the Magpies' search for an Isak replacement has yielded no results. Having missed out on targets such as Joe Pedro and Liam Delap to Chelsea, and most recently Benjamin Sesko to Manchester United. Howe maintains that reintegration remains possible for Isak, though whether this position stems from a wish to preserve the player's market value in the transfer window's closing weeks is known only to those within St. James Park. After making a £110 million, $148.9 million bid for Isak earlier in the month, Liverpool is now biding its time, ready to re-engage if Newcastle shows any signs of wavering over its no, who netted 23 Premier League goals last season. There's been a degree of sympathy for Howe as this saga has dominated headlines and shaped the narrative at pre- and post-match press conferences throughout the summer. It's an unwelcome distraction for the Magpies manager as he prepares his squad for a new season that includes a return to the Champions League. "We are still active in the window, and we'd love to add one or two players, but it really is quality over quantity," was the latest update from Howe, whose words were published in the Chronicle on Monday. "We don't want to just add, and I don't think we need to do too much more. We are strong, and in certain areas we've got good depth, and we'll be able and resilient enough to get through a long, tough season. You look at the fixtures we have beyond the first international break, and it's relentless. We are going to need everybody fit and available and to contribute. So it's an important few weeks left in the window for us, and we certainly need to do a little bit more."